Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing 401ks, and this is going to be kind of an American-centric video with respect to retirement visas because the 401k refers to a specific section of the tax code, a specific section of American law, and it's American-centric. So, if you're from the UK or Australia, you don't know what a 401k is, it doesn't apply to you. We're talking about Americans seeking retirement visas to Thailand. A frequent viewer of our channel sent me this article, and it's very useful for making this and another video contemporaneously with it. Article is titled, How 401k Brought About the Death of Pensions, and this is from CNBC.com. Quoting directly, until the 1980s, most Americans planned for retirement through pensions. That changed when Congress passed a new tax code in the Revenue Act of 1978. The act included a new provision in the Internal Revenue Code, Section 401k. Within a decade, the majority of workers were in a 401k rather than a traditional pension. Now, this can pose some problems, as we've discussed in another video, and we'll get into it a little bit more here. Basically, a 401k, it's sort of it's not a defined benefit plan where like payments just come out of it every month, like a pension, and you can have it sent to yourself here in Thailand. A 401k, it's sort of a savings device. In fact, it mitigates certain tax liability associated with savings for retirement effectively. But the reason for the video is I have a lot of people that contact us and say, hey, what about 401k documentation when I'm trying to process a retirement visa from abroad? And to be clear, in another video we made, we talk about this in the context of extension in country. We're talking about retirement visas filed through, for example, the Thai Embassy in Washington, D.C., the Thai Consulate in New York, the Thai Consulate in Chicago, or the Thai Consulate in Los Angeles for Americans living there. Again, third-party countries may have some issues that are not going to be covered. This is more a general video for Americans. Yes, it may be possible to use documentation pertaining to a 401k, but you need to be kind of careful with that because what may work at an embassy abroad may not work at Thai immigration here. So for this reason, you may be able to provide some evidence of one's 401k, and that may be sufficient to get an initial retirement visa. But if you get to Thailand and you don't want to leave to maintain status, you don't want to do a visa run back to the United States, you're going to need to go through the extension process, and that can be a different kettle of fish. They may want to see different documentation. In fact, in most cases, they generally have a hard and fast way of using financial evidence to extend status, as opposed to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is a little more, I hesitate to call it loose, but they're a little more flexible because there's all sorts of different documentation, bank account statements, etc., 401k documentation, mutual fund things that you can show as evidence to support a retirement visa application that really aren't feasible here in Thailand. So the thing to take away from this video is, yes, 401k documentation may be useful in seeking a Thai retirement visa abroad. It may not be overly useful once you're here in the kingdom. So for those who are kind of confused by this, might not be a terrible idea to go ahead and contact a legal professional in order to try to gain some insight and guidance into how best to proceed.